time. Let me know when we're ready.
Hey.
All right. All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for tuning in and welcome to the Iron Health Podcast. We are Iron Health Physical Therapy. We have locations in Westchester, one-on-one physical therapy in Ardsley, Briarcliff, and Peekskill. Today, we're here in Ardsley. I'm your host, Jade Sabuntham, aka Doc Jade. I'm one of the physical therapists here. Very excited for our guest today. I've known her for quite some time, since high school actually. I've been following her on social media, so her fitness journey, but also she is a NASM certified personal trainer, and she's also a spin instructor in Comeback Cycle?
Comeback Cycle.
Comeback Cycle.
Prior, I was at Flywheel.
That's right.
But unfortunately closed during the pandemic. So
gotcha. Awesome.
Comeback Cycle.
So she's at Comeback Cycle in New York City. Check her out. She is Sarah Ballan. I'm very excited to be here, for her to be here. How you doing today, Sarah?
I'm great. How are you? I had an early morning class at Comeback Cycle, so I guess I'll definitely go into that and what that is if anyone's curious. How is there a spin class going on right now during a pandemic? Comeback Cycle is an in-person spin class on a roof. It was definitely chilly this morning. There were flurries, right. But we still had some riders come and show up. We have bikes more than 6 feet apart on a roof on 57th and 2nd. And we also have a location in the Hamptons. So Comeback Cycle is a new concept. We took the bikes from the old Flywheel studios and put them on a roof. So awesome. Not only do we teach in person, but also on Zoom. So if anyone has an at-home bike and is looking for something different, some new instructors to try, Comeback Cycle is definitely something to check out.
Yeah, awesome. I remember, we talked, right before this call, and you're just saying like how cold it was outside. And it just reminded me because I actually was driving into the office and I was just like, wow, it's freezing. I can't believe she taught a class on the roof of New York City. So that's like super cool concept. Before we kind of get into, Comeback Cycle, kind of want to talk more about you, yourself, and your journey, into fitness and how you got to where you are. So just for our listeners, can you just give them just a brief background, on you and how you pretty much came to where you are and, what you did before, but your story is super interesting. So we just want to check out what you got going on.
So like you said, Jade, we met in high school and we're from Scarsdale. So it's a high pressure town and a lot of people are expected to go into 9-to-5 jobs, very traditional. And that's exactly what I did after college. I went to Lehigh University and I majored in creative writing and English. So I've always been a writer. And I went into media buying. That was my first job out of college. It was a 9-to-5 job. I had a desk, I had a phone line, I had a business card, all of it. And I really wasn't that happy. It wasn't something and struggling because it wasn't anything that I wanted to do. I've always been athletic. I've always been a runner. But when Soul Cycle opened up in Scarsdale our senior year, so in 2010-ish, I was addicted and I went all the time. And luckily enough, when I started working at Group M, that was where I started my career after college. They would take us to Soul Cycle classes for the clients would take us out to treat us. We would get our nails done. We would go shopping and we would go to fitness classes every time. And that is what I miss about that. So my nails were perfect. I didn't have to pay for it. I always had jeans. It was great. But when we went to those Soul Cycle classes, I just couldn't help but think, I want to do that. I want to be that person in the front of the room, motivating people, doing what I love. So I told my parents pretty early on, actually. It was about 4 months in, and I just quit my job. Wow. I quit my job to try out. I didn't have any guarantee whatsoever, and I started trying out for all these different boutique fitness studios in New York City.
Sure. I mean, that's such like a leap of faith, right? Just kind of leaving that like comfort zone and going into something that you felt like your calling was for. I mean, were you happy with that switch?
I was worried what people would think, and I was worried that I wouldn't feel successful because, like I said, Scarsdale is a very high-pressure, traditional town, and it's kind of expected to go into something more secure. than fitness.
Gotcha.
And I didn't have a job lined up. So I was going into the process of trying out and auditioning for studios. And it is a very cutthroat industry of, let's say, 50 people try out in a room. Of those 50 people, let's say 20 get callbacks. And of those, and of those 20 people who get callbacks, let's say 10 make it into the training program. And of those 10 that make it into the training program, that doesn't guarantee you a spot on the schedule. And even if you make the training program and get your spot on the schedule, you start at the bottom. So you start at the off-peak slots. You don't get too many clients, and it takes a toll on you. It takes a certain kind of person you have to really, really want it.
Yeah, for sure. No, that sounds definitely like, you know, a tough transition that you had to kind of navigate, right?
It was a crazy transition. You go from having this complete schedule to working very early mornings and very late nights and maybe sporadically during the day. So you obviously have to fill your time with other things and expect that it's a part-time job at the beginning. It could also be a part-time job, depending on what you want from it. You have to put a lot of time and effort in. You need to do the training program, which is like 4 hours of rigorous, for me, it was riding on a bike for 4 hours in addition to teaching classes. So it was a lot.
Yeah.
My body changed a lot.
No, I'm sure it changed a lot. I remember we met maybe like a couple years ago, and you were telling me that like it wasn't just, you know, just the body stuff, but your voice was like so like shot. It was dead, right? I remember you telling me.
Oh my God. Yeah. Instructor voice, it kills you. Like you don't realize that your voice is a muscle. And I've always been a chatterbox, but if you're teaching and straining you have to make sure you warm up properly, because if you don't, you can lose your voice and squeak. And actually, a lot of people in the industry do end up getting surgery.
Wow, no way.
So it's really important that you warm up your voice, rest when you're in between classes. Gotcha. You really have to take that part seriously.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's definitely a lot of things that I think you, you know, you going into this new field, definitely a lot, you know, a lot of pros and cons and a lot of things that you kind of had to like learn on the fly. So, you know, kind of going back to what we talked about, you know, earlier when we first started, just kind of, you said you worked at Flywheel. Now, what you guys like taking those bikes and made your own kind of thing on this roof in New York City? That's awesome. Can you talk about kind of like how this kind of like all started and what, you know, what the deal actually is and how people can get into it?
Well, actually, before I even go to Flywheel and Comeback Cycle, I started out, my original goal was Soul Cycle. I was a diehard Soul Cycle fan. I tried out for Soul Cycle and I didn't get it.
Wow,
really? It was very intimidating. It's very competitive. You have to expect that you'll get rejected from a bunch of places before you actually get accepted into a training program or on the schedule. So I worked at a place called Psych Fitness, which I think unfortunately has ended due to the pandemic. But I started at Psych Fitness on Astor Place in New York City. And after a couple months of that, I went into a new concept in Dumbo, Brooklyn, called IMAX Shift. Actually, I have my water bottle right here.
Nice.
IMAX Shift. It was very cool. It was a IMAX screen, full-sized IMAX screen, so 45 by 35, whatever feet it is, gigantic.
That's so
and
cool.
Instead, it was so cool. And instead of like a movie theater, there were bikes. So we would teach to the content on the screen. There would be music videos playing, or for example, let's say a volcano would be an image, and when the beat drops, the volcano would erupt. So some people thought it was gimmicky.
Yeah.
It was really cool. I loved it. The sound was amazing. The visuals were amazing. But unfortunately, that ended after a year. And once that ended, I was reached out to on Instagram. So Instagram is actually a very important tool for fitness professionals. I was discovered on Instagram by Flywheel, and I was there for 3 years before the pandemic hit. So, and Flywheel, for those of you who don't know what Flywheel was, because it doesn't exist anymore, unfortunately. It was a interval-based cycling class with a leaderboard. So there was a male and a female side of the board, and you would try to, I guess, compete and see what the best score you could get in 45 minutes.
Sure. I remember taking one of your classes, and it was pretty damn intense. I thought I was in like, you know, decent shape. And I remember going in there and I was like, holy crap, I'm like out of breath. She's killing it. Like, how is she yelling at all of us? but she's
to
like
be able
pushing
to
so
bike.
fast. Yeah,
Exactly.
it's
To be able to bike at the same time as teach is, you need a lot of stamina and you need
oh
the mental toughness.
oh my
So
god, I can't. Yeah, it was a challenge for sure. And so I was like, oh my god, like Sarah's doing her damn thing. It looked really awesome. Why don't you kind of talk about now, just like what we talked about earlier, just with the rooftop and the comeback cycle, because I think it's a super cool concept, and just how people can get more kind of info about that.
So Comeback Cycle is a really great place. Right
Hmm.
now it is cold. We are working on getting some heaters. We do have a giant umbrella because I did teach the other week in the sleet rain.
No
But
way.
people are dedicated. People miss
Yeah, that class
classes. They
structure,
miss
right? Right.
working out with other people,
Hmm.
like-minded people in a
Yeah,
place, being motivated, not just in their tiny apartments in New York City or cramped in their homes, So
of course.
Comeback Cycle developed out of the necessity to grow with the times, the Corona times, and
Of
create a
course.
place where we could have an outdoor class. So how it works is you get headphones, like a headset,
Okay.
and in the headset, just so we don't make too much noise on the roof, I have a microphone. I'm speaking into the microphone and playing my music on my laptop or my phone, and all of that is into the headset. Individual headsets. The
Hmm.
bikes are spread 6 feet apart, and yeah, it's just like a little slice of normalcy. Even though it's chilly, we have some troopers that trek and do it. There's one location in New York City. There's
Okay.
one location in Hamptons. We are here to stay, and
That's pretty
yeah,
cool. That's
and
pretty
it's
cool.
and we just recently opened up to Zoom classes. So if you do have an indoor bike, and
Hmm.
again, if it is something you want to try, you could do it on any
Gotcha.
bike. It could be a fly bike, it could be the Peloton, it could be a regular Schwinn, any equipment that you have, it will work.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's
That's that.
we minimize you.
Wow. That's no. It's
So
such a
another
good,
thing that I've
pretty
been
awesome
doing,
concept. Yeah. Go ahead.
it's a
You're good.
great
You're good.
concept. Another thing I've been doing,
Hmm.
I started in the beginning of the pandemic because once gyms and boutique fitness studios closed because of COVID, we had to get creative, and we basically kind of transformed our space from in-person one-on-one to Zoom. So
Hmm.
Zoom's been a huge thing in fitness right now,
Sure.
virtual fitness. If
Hmm.
of course the platforms like Peloton or Obey Fitness, they're amazing and incredible, but it's very competitive, even more competitive than getting on a roster or a schedule in an in-person class, because
Sure.
if you think about it, they have a set of people and they can rotate them. They don't need to fill different people for different locations, so that the
Right.
need is less. They
Right.
can, yeah, employ less people.
Hmm.
But my best friend Greta Bradbury and I started this class called Base Booty Brains, and it
Right.
is a beat-based cardio, um, kind of dance cardio slash. We work on the arms, booty, and butt specifically,
There you
and
go.
we teach our classes on Instagram Live and also on Zoom.
Hmm.
And in order to give back to the community, we raised thousands of dollars for both COVID-19 relief in New York City and for Black Lives Matter. So we
Super
decided
awesome.
to, yeah, and it's a donation-based class. So it's for everyone. You don't all you need is a mat.
Hmm.
You don't even need sneakers to do it. You just need
Right.
a Zoom and a little space.
A little space. That's so cool. I remember, when the pandemic was going on, obviously with all social injustice and things going on, in the world as well too. Just seeing you guys, do your thing on Instagram, getting all of this support and so much of these donation, very cool concept, very cool, very great for the community. Is there any kind of more build off of that? Any more projects you're kind of working on in terms of just getting more into that fitness space? Do you feel that base booty brains is going to be something that you want to kind of keep up for the next
So we
couple of
took a
months?
little break from Base Booty Bangs because unfortunately Greta moved across the country to California.
Got
So
it.
we haven't been, and I actually am in grad school right now, and she's working out in
Hmm.
California. So we haven't really had a time to connect and make
Connect.
a schedule, but I think we're going to bring it back. And I think it's really important, not only because we're giving back to the community monetarily and to charities of our choosing, but
Sure.
also it just improves mood.
Hmm.
Exercise is good for endorphins and feeling good about yourself and moving in a time where it's really you're limited in what you can do. You can't really go to bars. There are no concerts.
Right.
I don't have to tell you that. You guys all know that. So
Yeah, yeah.
having that time to listen to good music and work out, break a little sweat, be with people virtually that you care about and connect with people. It's just a really good mental booster,
For sure.
honestly.
For sure. No, I think what you guys did, great mental booster. Exercise, just mental health and wellness is key, especially with everything, going on right now. And it's just good to see that you guys just found a way to like, navigate the pandemic, right? In terms of like just how fitness is, because it has taken a hit. And even us here in this physical therapy clinic, we, had to shut down for a little bit and do a lot of our like treatments kind of like online. And that's harder than it sounds. So you really need that, that communication, but also you really need to, really drive home that, people should put their health on the front line, especially now more than ever with, all the things going on. So really cool to see you guys, just kind of navigate through that. You talked about getting your master's right now. What specifically are you doing with that?
So I'm getting my master's in creative writing. I've always loved
Awesome.
to write. When I was at Lehigh, I was an English major and creative writing minor.
Hmm.
So right now I am writing a book, which will hopefully one day be turned into a TV show. That's the goal. It's a memoir,
Hmm.
and I can't give too much of it away because
Of
I
course.
I don't even know where to begin. There's so much to unpack, but I
Right.
definitely will touch on the fitness scene and
Hmm.
making it in fitness and what it means to be a fitness instructor in New York City, what it
Right.
means to change your career,
Hmm.
um, how to how to do something like that and not really care what people think and
Right.
find your own happiness,
Sure.
because I feel like that's what we all want, right? Like we all want to be
Hmm.
happy, we all want to feel successful
Right.
in
Of
what
course.
we
Definitely.
do. And for me, the 9 to 5 thing wasn't doing it. Connecting with people, I don't like being in a cubicle. So yeah.
Right.
So I
No.
also have a blog. It's a fitness and lifestyle blog,
Right.
and it's called Healthy Balance because my last
Hmm.
name is Ballan. And on there, I have kind of tapered off a little bit because, Corona and life.
Of
But I
course.
do have on there lifestyle, health, and fitness, and also personal dating kind of
Yeah.
stories. So it's
Yeah.
a little
Very
bit
cool.
of everything on there.
Yeah, for sure. I remember reading a couple, blog posts that you had, in the past recently, and it's pretty good stuff. You're definitely a talented writer for sure, and it'd be cool to see in the future how you marry, the fitness and the writing. I think they're very powerful, and your message is pretty clear with, like again with like health, wellness, but also just you being happy overall. I'm sure that switch like you did before was a tough challenge for yourself, but honestly, you just seem like such a happy person. You seem like you really enjoy kind of what you do. Just kind of going off of that, with the pandemic going on, and also just like this vaccine coming out recently. We'll see how it goes in terms of general public. But how do you see just like health and yeah, that's right. How do you see just health and fitness just like kind of progressing forward? Right now with Zoom, obviously there's a lot of virtual, that virtual component definitely gives a little bit of that convention to just people working out from their homes, and it's very easy for them. So how do you see this kind of going forward just in this fitness space in terms of like like how the world is today and how it's going to go in the future?
I think there's always a need for physical fitness. I feel like
Hmm.
people are starting to feel cooped up and crazy and want to move their bodies. So I think
For
that
sure.
although people may not feel comfortable going into a gym right now,
Hmm.
it's going to come back. It has to come back because I feel like people, that's part of everyone's daily routine. They wake up, they go to the gym, they go to work, or
Right.
maybe some people work out during the day or after work, but it is an integral part of people's lives. And I
Hmm.
don't see that going away. But what I do think is that um, it is hard to motivate yourself. So it does help to have a trainer or a class that you enjoy, or a personal trainer, for example, to keep you
Yeah.
going. I know I've been personally training my clients on Zoom, and it's been working out pretty well.
Awesome.
Um, so it's not the same as being in person, but it does help when you have a friendly face on the other side of the
Yeah.
Zoom telling you what to do, keeping you motivated, keeping you in
Hmm.
check. And for now, I think Zoom workouts are important. I feel like if you haven't tried one, you definitely should check one out. Maybe a base booty brace class, maybe something else.
There you go.
But little plug. But
No,
it does help to have some. It could be intimidating if you're in your room and you don't know what to do. So it does help to have a trainer guide you through some things. You'll have some good music attached to that. You'll learn some moves you could do on your own. I do hope and pray that indoor stuff is going to come back once the vaccine is a thing. But I do think that it's not going to be the way that it was before for a long time.
Right.
I don't think it's going to be as packed.
Yeah, I think I agree as well too. Yeah, no, that makes total sense. So do you have any like tips and advice? Well, let's start with the client side. Do you have any tips and advice for people that want to get into more of this kind of virtual fitness space, but not really sure how to? Maybe they're just not as technologically savvy. Maybe they just don't know where to begin. Any advice for those kind of people?
So if you're not well, Zoom has pretty much made its way into our lives in the past 9-10 months because everyone is working from home or having Zoom meetings. Zoom fitness is pretty similar. If you don't feel comfortable, you always can have the option of turning off your camera, right? So you don't need everyone to see you. But the downside of that is you might not get you could get more form corrections if you do have your camera on and people are watching you and giving you corrections. But I would recommend looking on Instagram. Like I said, Instagram is such an amazing tool, especially for fitness professionals. Search the hashtag home workout. You'll find some stuff that you can do. And the big places like Rumble or Barry's or SLT, they're all doing classes at home. And then of course, Comeback Cycle, we're doing at home classes for people with bikes. So if you don't have that much equipment, I would definitely start by looking on Instagram or YouTube and typing in a workout that you could do. I also have tons of recommendations of my friends that are all doing Zoom workouts, and they're fantastic people, such good motivators. I personally think a live class is a little bit more motivating than a taped one. So if you are trying to get into something, I would recommend trying out a live Zoom class. A lot of them are maybe $10-15. You could sign up online, and it's worth the money.
Yeah, for sure. It's an investment in your health and in yourself, right? So I think it's definitely worth the money. So kind of just transitioning. Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
No, you're good.
Well, I was saying for fitness professionals that are feeling a little down and struggling, I feel like content, it takes a lot of effort and time to create content, and it's frustrating if you're not paid for it. But I think the more content you produce, the more comfortable you'll get behind a camera, because obviously it's completely different teaching to a flat screen than teaching to an energized room full of people who are wooing and cheering and, So I feel like if you wanted to get started, something you could do is just try it out. Just post a live class on your Instagram, see what kind of feedback you get. And yeah, just keep your spirits up, because people come to classes for the energy. They want to feel like they're taken care of and they want a positive person. So if you're looking for specific instructors to work with, I would just kind of browse on Instagram. You'll probably find yourself in a rabbit hole. There's so much content. But if you don't know where to start, maybe you can begin by typing in a fitness place that you like and clicking on the instructors and seeing what they have to offer.
Nice. No, that's great advice. I know there's so much content out there. So just picking, what's right for you. Content. Yeah. So I think that's what could be the intimidation factor for a lot of people. But I think you explained it, like just perfectly. Just kind of switching to your side. So if anyone wants to make the transition that you made in your career, what do you have any advice for them? Maybe it's not the right timing. Maybe there's some tips and tricks that you did mentally just because of all, I guess, the influence you had around you. What are some tips that made you kind of excel to where you are right now?
I would say to anyone looking to switch careers to fitness, now is probably not the best time to do it. However, like I said, creating content and using hashtags and trying to get your name out there, Instagram is an amazing tool. You'll be surprised at how many people, the feedback that I get when I teach my classes are people that I never expected to take them show up and do it. So I feel like you just have to get out of your head and start creating content. If you have a secure job, now is probably not the time to leave it, but it's definitely, you have extra time when you're home and you're not going out so much on weekends. You could put your time into a passion project and really start to build something and create the content that you like. It's time to experiment. It's the perfect time to experiment, and there's nothing to lose by doing that.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think no, that's fantastic advice. I think kind of like you touched on it right now, right? If you're secure right now, obviously you want to keep that, but if you have that
Keep
passion,
that job.
you like keep that. But
But
if you
people
have
are
that
looking
passion,
for things to do.
yeah,
Instead of
exactly.
binge watching a million shows, why not try to try a workout video, see how you feel. If you want to be one of those people, try making content on your own. And now is also a really good time to study for certification. So I know that it's easier to be hired as a fitness professional if you have certifications under your belt. I have the NASM personal training certification. They also offer things like nutrition certification, pre and postnatal, corrective exercise science, all of the above. You can get certified for kettlebell training. You can get certified for a lot of different things. So now is a good time to pick up a book and start studying if this is something you want to do, because when the world opens back up, which it will, you'll have a leg up on everybody else if you have some certifications under your belt.
Awesome. That is amazing advice. Definitely get those certifications out because I know that makes a huge difference in not just, place you want to work for, but also some people are looking for some letters after your name, right? So I think, that's awesome advice. Um, just to kind of wrap up, where can people kind of find you? Where can they find you on Instagram? How can they reach you? What's a great way to just connect with Sarah?
Yeah, you could find me on Instagram. It's just my name at Sarah Ballan. I'm happy to chat with anyone who wants to. Just shoot me a message. I'm pretty quick to respond. And that would be the quickest way. I'm not the best with email. Jade, as you can attest to. And also check out my blog. It's just sarahballan.com. It's called The Healthy Balance. I'm working on a new little listicle for the top pieces of equipment you need to build your home gym in 2021. So if you're looking for information on that, stay tuned. That article is coming up and will definitely be on the blog. So
awesome. We'll put all that information on the show notes so they're able to come and reach you and also check out some of the content you've been creating. Well, Sarah, you've been awesome as always. Thank you for your time. So much insight in this right now. I think you're really going to help a ton of people, not just, with career switching, but also just people trying to get into fitness because they just don't know where to start. And I think you have such great information. So I really want to thank you for being on the show.
Even if it's not a full 45 minutes, there are things for 5 minutes you could do, 10 minutes. Just try it out, ease your way into it, and try to be consistent with it. And if you're sore, that's a good thing.
That's a great thing. Of course. Anyway, thank you, Sarah, again. This is the Iron Health Podcast. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Check Sarah out. We'll have all of her information on the show notes. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye-bye.
Awesome. So I'm going to end the recording real quick.